on balls.
In this video, you basically just shouted out to the world I have flaws on this game, and here's the proof. Besides this, I fundamentally disagree with what you said in that segment, and there's a lot of just saying theoretical stuff without actually thinking.
Oh, this is terrible.
Toy the Tasmanian Tiger was a... No, my normal accent's already goofy enough, we ain't doing this. Man, talk about a first impression, eh? Dude just walks in on Crash and Spyro, still recovering after their tragic 2000s workplace injuries, drops a full cross-platform trilogy complete with GBA tie-ins, as if to say, now that's how you do it, you yabos, and kinda just chills there in the background smoking cigs for the next 20 years. What a chad! Ty wasn't just another failed attempt, he was a contender, and he was a winner. Sort of. He fell into a lot of the same traps as his lower-tier contemporaries, but he also somehow survived longer than most of his higher-tier peers. I mean, let's put it this way. While he may not have achieved quite the success and impact as, I don't know, Jak and Daxter, he's still owned by his original creators, they're still in business, and they're still pushing him. It ain't just some recent nostalgia wave thing either. In 2013, they put out both a mobile app game spin-off and, more impressively, a full-scale 2D adaptation of the formula. In the meantime, they've been gradually fundraising and pushing out new HD remasters to Steam and Nintendo Switch, as well as animated in-universe travel blogs, I guess. But that all begs a question, don't it? This quintessential, obscure 6th-gen cult classic platformer got off to such a strong start, is talked about semi-frequently to this very day, and is still owned, promoted, and to an extent, even worked on by a team with enough passion left to effectively blow time and money on self-fan content for it. Then how come KO the bitch-ass kangaroo got its proverbial Crash 4 first? Well, actually, there are several probable factors that derailed the series, ranging in hingedness from the dreaded slower-paced threequel to they thought they were going to make an MMORPG out of this thing. No, I'm not kidding. But for now, let's just open up the game and see what answers we can find inside. Yeah, that's right, I've had that much to say before even booting it up in person for the first time in my life. Well, what can I say? It's got a lot of personality, ain't it?
Welcome to Swift Cliffs, mate. By the way, I won't be to talk to you, mate. You're gay.
One of the very first things I noticed, while the movement feels good and gets the job done, it's very basic. Handle and smooth, there's a satisfying weight to the jump, and your speed's befitting the size of the levels, at first. But there's not really anything to experiment with or master. You can't roll or slide down inclines, long jump, wall jump, backflip. The only move that increases your speed at all stops you dead after 10 feet. Heck, there ain't even a difference between tapping or holding the jump button. The soul-stingy pinch of salt on this unseasoned movement system is an extremely weak glide that, again, it ain't exactly the wing cap in terms of mechanics. Now, of course, that ain't a deal-breaker and it don't ruin the game, but obviously having zero movement tech isn't going to do any favors for a 3D collectathon's longevity. What does do the game some favors, and is probably the first thing a normal person would notice, is that it looks and sounds absolutely lovely. Heck, you might have already guessed it. Old, still well-loved and remembered, despite not having a ton of gameplay or story depth, must be a vibe game. And blimey is it ever. Music is warm, acoustic, often lazy. The visuals are earthy but saturated. The plentiful in-level dialogue is this friendly, leisurely delivery. It's one of those games that feels effortlessly nostalgic without the need to have any childhood connections to it specifically. It calls back summer vacations long past, backyard barbecues, easy conversations with good friends, trips to the pool, water gun fights. Heck, our titular heroes dressed up in swim trunks and no shirt for the whole journey. Every little area's got its own feel, so we're not going to go over the whole oral experience all at once right at the start. That's the gist of how the whole game feels. Unlike a lot of adventures that relish in discovery and mystique, Ty's a game where you feel like you've been visiting every level and talking to every NPC for years before you even pop the disc in, so to speak. Now, back on the topic of gameplay. While there may not be any Sonic Adventure or Mario Sunshine level movement mastery to pin down, that doesn't mean there's nothing to the game. I've seen it compared to Mario 64 or Banjo, but honestly, what I'm most reminded of is Spyro. Levels are laid out in a semi-linear format, with a little cranny you start in, a character who will introduce you to an objective at the other end of the map, usually related to another character.
Our good friend Shazza, the thick man.
Shazza is a female anthropomorphic dingo that is 20 years old. Ooh. Shazza is the f***ing dingo.
Seymour? Oh, that isn't
Dingo.
It's
Anthropomorphic dingo. It's a female anthropomorphic dingo that is 20 years
With a third character standing around somewhere near the halfway point and offering a side objective of some sort. The rest of the Thunder Eggs, oh yeah, that's your Power Star equivalent for the game, are split between collecting 300 opals, coins, gems, saving a family of 5 imprisoned rat things, completing a time trial, and just kinda being left scattered around. Once you get to the primary objective character, there's usually a warp point nearby and maybe another one on a slightly further point. That's all reasonably standard, of course, but what particularly reminds me of Spyro's the combat. You have 2 attacks, with some enemies being vulnerable to both, or one, or the other, or one and then the other, in various permutations. Boomerangs are a mid to short range non-committal projectile attack, essentially your fire breath, but a lot more versatile, and you can either spam them while moving or enter a first person mode to aim more precisely. Or, if you're deranged enough, you can use WASD plus mouse controls to combine speed and precision. No, I'm not gonna lie for you people anymore. You're the deranged ones. Analog controls overrated. Rise forever, rise forever, rise forever. The bite's kind of your horn charge, but also your ground pound, and kind of a homing attack too. It's a lot of things, basically. Again, because this game insists on throttling your momentum, there is a huge wind-up before the first aerial bite in a chain, but it's nothing groundbreaking, but it is still distinct, and with a fairly respectable roster of enemies with different movement and attack patterns, they found plenty of room to let the creativity flow. The only part I consider inexcusable is the blatant plagiarism of Super Mario Sunshine's stand mechanics. Like, what would it have been too subtle if they didn't make it a giant translucent gorilla?
Oh mate, those ain't the 2 adjectives I'd pick to describe me.
Alright, this asshat. Yeah, I kinda forgot to talk about the plot thus far, but hey, guess why? Boss Cass is mad at mammals, and apparently warm-blooded animals in general, for replacing the dinosaurs, despite the fact that birds are warm-blooded animals that replace, and technically are, the dinosaurs, meaning technically the dinosaurs weren't actually replaced, so really I don't know why he's so upset to begin with. Oh yeah, and the reason thylacines are extinct in this universe is that they got sucked into a portal while defending the Egg McMuffins from Cass's giant battle mech, and now he wants them so he can rule the world, yada yada blah blah blah. Despite what you've come to expect from wacky cartoon villains, he really don't steal the show at all. He ain't vaguely intimidating, nor all that funny, nor surprisingly complex, and his presence really isn't felt because most of the problems you're solving in the places you visit are like,
Oi, Tommy, mate, did you rip her seal of a wife went out for a good old Australian-style dippy McWhippy in a blimmin' big old dinkum drunken ocean? I ain't seen her in a while. You go find her. Oh, good, she was perfectly drubbing fine the whole time and nothing bad happened at all. Now, if that ain't right, Oggen Woggen Wiggly wonderful, like...
I ain't ever seen an abusive, racist, furry admin with so little pizzazz.
Oh, smell that fart. Watch out for those Cersei locusts.
Alright, here's something that definitely took me by surprise. From the very first real level, this game is already surprisingly tricky. Not in terms of staying alive, no, and most of the platforming challenges are pretty light work, but the collectibles genuinely gave me a bit of a run around at times. Levels are extremely lush and dense with detail, and there's a lot of verticality and crisscross. And paths that do a good job making the maps feel bigger than they really are. At first. It's easy enough making it from one end of Walk in the Park to the other, but once the cleanup sweep phase begins, you'll suddenly notice, man, that's a lot of tree branch bridges. Man, that's a lot of little crevices and canyons and crannies. Did I go through the alternate cave entrance yet? Oh yeah, and what about the rightward branch on the water slide? There's also this turkey, I think. I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually not sure how I won the chase this first time because I thought I just touched it after coming back to it a second time that didn't work. It's possible you can only do it once, I guess, but usually objectives are repeatable, so I don't know.
G'day, Shazza.
Oh, shit.
Give me tips.
Would you mind keeping those blue tongues off me back while our tongues off me back, while our tongues off me back, while our tongues off me back, while our tongues off me back? I've been puzzling off me back, I've been puzzling off me back, while I fill up my watering, those blue tongues off me back, while I fill up my watering, those blue, fill up my watering bottle. Don't worry, those blue tongues.
Enough.
But it's fun.
Enough.
The main mission of this level is to reach Shazza at the far end of the jungle and help her fend off these blue tongue lizards by conking them on the head with the metal pipe main. I know it's a big ass, but you can't realistically expect such a petite mucus golem to assimilate so many conscious victims of this size in one sitting. Yeah, remember when I went on a rot gusher about how gorgeous this game looks? Well, I was talking about the environments then. If ever there were a game that exemplifies the PS2 putties, the GameCube GUIs, the Xbox X sludges that are toxic, the overall Gen 6 sticky icks, Ty is it. The model's vastly improved over the series run, but it was really only up from here, you know? Speaking of how good the environments are, I mean, look at this place, it's crazy, so lush, so dense, and they still had RAM left over to cram a bunch of frogs and butterflies all over the place? Even aside from how technically impressive it looks, it wouldn't surprise me if the density was dialed up with the remaster. The ruddy brown earth and deep bluish-greenish foliage feels so vibrant and lifelike. And that thin, slightly yellowish haze. You can smell the rain and soggy wood here almost as clearly as you can see it. Beautiful stuff. With the chill, mildly somber track backing it up, this place just feels so wild yet so inviting. As a forest park ideally should.
Welcome to the Great Fish Beach, full of beautiful fish, friendly fish, inviting fish. It's a beautiful fish beach if you invite it with fish.
My arbitrary pick for the second real level of the game, since you could technically do it first, but why would ya? This is the designated water level, and it introduces swimming. But fortunately, Chrome went to the swimming's just flying underwater school of hydrodynamics. Aside from, I swear that sometimes it just takes a couple seconds for the inverted y-axis to kick in. It feels good. Really good. Better than walking, in fact, and as insane as this is gonna sound, I'm glad so many levels have significant space dedicated to deep water, because in the upside-down nonsense world that is Australia, land animals are faster swimmers than runners. As for the main mission here, well, I already kinda described it. Our good mate Rex the realistic platypus's wife has gone missing. We gotta swim across the map, climb a spiral mountain, a very tall spiral mountain with a very long spiral. Like, you have to imagine the level designers played Banjo-Kazooie and said, "Pah, you call that a spiral mountain, mate? Now this is a spiral mountain."
Hey, Dal, how are you?
You know, one thing I should...
Yeah, I don't know what's up with the character design in this game, and I'm kind of afraid to ask, but even beyond strict asset quality, there's really no consistency between how these characters look. We got Toy and the other Tigers, they all look great, mate, even in terms of model and very stylized and Sonic adjacent. We got Shazza, who's like a semi-realistic short-stack Latino with a visible linea alba. Boss Cass is a middle evolution of an early gen starting out bird Pokemon. Then random characters like Mari and the platypuses are just realistic animals with beady little soulless black eyes. And tits, both of them, all of them in fact. I think, well... On one level, it all adds to the feel of rough and slightly amateurish adolescent enthusiasm that the game exudes. This game feels like it was made by Sonic fans whose talents developed over time but whose tastes and creative vision haven't changed since they were 13. But on other levels, it's also disquieting. Not just because this platypus makes me feel uncomfortable, but because, like, what are the lore implications? How many levels of biological evolution are at play here, and how does it relate to the ontological nature of the characters' souls? Why does this bird wear a shirt but no pants? Are these kangaroos with wide-spaced legs and little arms less evolved than Ty? Are they a lesser order of being? Likewise, is Ty less evolved than Shazza? Why does this giant quadrupedal feral hog have a striped tank top and an I Love Mom tattoo? Holy shit, I was wrong, not dying as hard. Holy shit, this music goes one and crazy, mate! Okay, so I got kinda taken off guard again, because what I saw this boss made it look dead easy, but the dude's actually not nearly as dense as you'd probably expect, and you gotta be a little tactful if you want to lure him into the mounds. I mean, he's not all that tough to beat, but I did die once, which frankly just isn't something you expect from the first boss of an E-rated mascot platformer. Thumbs up for me, though. I don't want bosses to be a pointless formality where you do the brain-dead gimmick 3 times and win. Give them some bite, man.
Well done, Ty. You've retrieved the first of the ancient. When Boss Cass discovers that we're out to his past, he will do all in his plans to stop you. Will you?
So someone thinks they can me up chaos! I want this meddling melisexual at any cost!
Yes, sir. Right away, sir.
Yes, sir. Right away, sir.
Those talismans are great!
Oh, and yeah, there's a dark, evil, edgy Ty counterpart who's been creeping on us from the start, too. Believe me, he's no more entertaining.
Me brother, I mean, this Tiger is actually smarter than he looks. I'm so shadowy and mysterious, and I'm evil, but do I actually have my own plans?
Oh, mate, you're gonna betray Cass and help me out in the end, right? No, why would I? I mean, he kind of tried to wipe out our species for the sake of something that really wouldn't benefit you in any way at all, right?
No, actually, we have a deal between us.
Brother, ain't you?
Wow, how disappointing.
Mate, what in the bloody hell are
you don't even recognize your own momsy. Jinkies.
That ain't even fucking Australian slang, mate. Just quit it, you're creeping me out.
In a good way?
No, not in a good way, like you just...
In your head?
Yeah, like, stranger danger.
No, it's not.
That's even weirder, since you're clearly me brother,
No,
mate. So...
I'm your uncle.
Well, like, that'd be less creepy, you wacko.
It's nothing quite like a moonlit billabong. Except maybe a moonlit billabong full of giant roaches, spiders and bats.
Ew, bad.
I hate you! I hate you!
Bridge on the River Ty is quite a neat level. This is, well, one of the 3 first levels you could theoretically test out your new flame boomerangs called Flamerangs. I know, right, in. Really not beating the Spyrogations with Fenrir the Dragonfly being the most recent entry, but the elemental mechanics here actually do add a little bit to combat dynamics. For example, this enemy with a giant spanking paddle block most types of boomerangs and normally requires 2 bites to defeat, but if you hit the paddle with a flamerang it'll burn up, and then you can just use another boomerang to take him out. There's also these spider enemies whose webs you can burn away. When they walk around, their little scuttling feet play a drum loop, and that kind of charm is what gives this game life. It's so adorable. A few annoying objectives aside, this level's... heck, it was my favorite long before I even played the game. I've been listening to this tune for literal years, particularly while working on Yonderlands-related parts of the Freb games, but actually being in the level with it, it's a whole other thing. Oh yeah, also this game predicted gay frogs way, way ahead of their time in the spotlight.
This is the home of me old mate, Dennis the Gay, Green Frog. He has got the biggest...
The only real criticism I have here is that most of the missions aren't anything noteworthy, aside from this unexpected and fun but basic mini-boss.
He's the biggest, gayest bossy...
But it's fun! But it's fun!
2 of them just involve hitting some scattered flammable objects with your new shmoomerangs, and one of them is...
No! Wait!
Dang, Ty's brother's creeping on him. His father figure's a de-evolved bird with no pants who's friends with this weird snob who's overly touchy and friendly despite living at an isolated private estate. His girlfriend's a potential slave owner. Oh, we'll get to that, trust me. I need to get this man's parents back in his life pronto.
Check out these amazing snowy mountains. Full of f***ing...
Nothing! Absolutely
Absolutely nothing!
No worries, eh? Well, that's ironic, because this is where the worries started setting in. There is nothing particularly notable about this level, except for the fact that it is very, very big. I mean, it practically looks like a Skyrim prototype from up here, for crying out loud. And it's not at all shy about forcing you to walk around back and forth. Oh, there was also a slightly confusing puzzle, I guess, with this giant lobster or crawdad, whatever. I wasted a whole lot of time trying to line it up and crush it with these stalagmites, only to, well, very luckily fluke it in such a way that the actual solution triggers. To be fair to the game, the construction of this little cubbyhole does suggest you're meant to pen something into it. To be fair to me, though, how exactly does that make sense as a solution, mate? The vibes here are definitely not immaculate either. Very gray, very overcast, very dreary, but not in a dangerous or oppressive kind of way. Also a good example of Cass's presence not being felt or respected, because the game goes out of its way to specify that this is his lumber mill and that he's funneling its resources into some kind of super secret project. But you get up there and just nothing happens. You don't sabotage it or learn something from it. You just collect a couple loose thunder eggs. Well, this can also happen, but my headcanon is that it is not canon. Unless the secret project was a battle bus.
This is it, the burnout. Yes, it's lots of stuff. Yes, it's very alright.
Now here's something I wish I hadn't been spoiled on. Yeah, there's an entire level dedicated to riding around on the first boss and smashing stuff up. There's an entire level dedicated to smashing the first boss and...
Big pussy. He's so pussy.
Now that's some immaculate vibes. Red sand, red rocks, California surf rock, while I ride around helping good old Ranger Ken put out house fires by knocking down all this impoverished desert village's water towers. Oh, sorry lads, hope you don't need those later or anything. Fun little detail, those same termite mounds he had to run him into during his boss fight are used as obstacles here. But that's not what you care about. That's not what you want to hear. You want to hear the extremely problematic and regressive lore implications contained in this level. Alright, so our good friend Shazza the Thick Baddie, she runs this thing called a health farm, which I googled, expecting it to not be a thing like, which she totally just made up! But actually, apparently it is a thing. Irrelevant! You see, on this health farm of hers, she keeps emus. Emphasis on keeps. These emus, despite not being anthropomorphic, wear numbered shirts and headbands. Okay, a bit weird, but not like that weird based on things we've seen so far, so let's hear her out. Here's the problem she proposes. The emus have escaped and are trying to get to some crazy Bob's burger place. Unless this crazy Bob fella's just such a nice guy that he's willing to offer free prepared food to a herd of wandering farm animals, we can make several inferences. Firstly, that the emus have money and some understanding of free market commerce. Secondly, that they have at least basic language skills sufficient to place an order at a fast food restaurant. Thirdly, that they are not disorderly and disruptive enough to be banned from a diner. Now with that in mind, take note of this. They escaped. We are asked to retrieve them by force. This is not some mere penalty system to hold them accountable on their weight loss journey. They are being held captive against their wills. In the best case scenario, these emus are some equivalent to the severely handicapped. Still sapient, but cognitively impaired enough that leaving them fully to their own devices constitutes criminal negligence. Even in this most generous possible interpretation, where Shazza has taken it upon herself to care for him out of kindness, she has still taken on the task severely underprepared and is forced to handle him too roughly. But in the worst case scenario, mate, we're effectively riding down on horseback and using rope to drag back escapees from a farm where participation in agricultural activities is not voluntary. But wait. Believe it or not, there's more to unpack here. If we're to believe Shazza and assume she's not creating a cover story, just what in the Sam Farr kind of operation is this crazy Bob guy running? Feeling a bit queasy after eating a super unhealthy burger? Sure, relatable even. Puking? Maybe, if it's big enough. puking and feeling sick the whole rest of the day, that's pushing it. 2 days? That's food poisoning. But being sick for 2 weeks? That don't sound like the consequences of unhealthy eating or even contaminated undercooked beef. That sounds like severe lead poisoning. And if we again take her at face value, it sounds like she fully expects this to happen again, even at least 2 weeks later. There's no food and drug regulation here in Southern Rivers. How is this burger shack still open? But I don't know that I quite trust her word either way. We're gonna have to settle this another way.
Okay, Ty, you ready to die?
Yeah, I'm ready, and remember the wager. I lose, me and Bull work on your little health farm for 2 weeks. I win, the emus walk, and if they decide they don't want to come back home, well then that's just too bad. Come on, we gotta pull through for 'em. Give it your all, we're making a stand for freedom today. That's it, we got this in the bag. We're making good pace to... What? No! Let me down! I can't lose. I gotta do it for the emus. I can't lose! Driving toward death!
That's it. I'm sexist now. Now I'm gonna get even more sexist. Now I'm super sexist.
Get out of my ride, woman! I hope someday you meet a beautiful girl and fall in love just like me. If you ever meet one of those enterprising classical liberal types, just remember, no matter how hard you tries to charm you, to bribe you, to intimidate you, that racism will never be funnier than sexism! I'm about to turn women's suffrage into women's suffering!
I finally done it. Sexist evolution. I don't wanna be sexist.
You know what? That was kind of fun, wasn't it? Sorry about letting a bit loose back there, but...
You beat me fair and square. You deserve this.
You're a good sport, Chaz. I hope you can forgive me. Those emus, though, they still deserve their freedom, but you really do gotta kinda wonder how they made it this far to begin with.
Oh, no worries, Possum. They're going free, no ifs, ands, or buts. Really don't know what came over me the past couple months either.
You're a beaut.
My grip on the border dog might have loosened a bit, but even if I lose her completely, it'll be well worth the try. I might not approve of me brother's super sexist power, but it did a fine enough job opening Ty's heart to darkness. Now it's a simple matter of bombarding him with self-conscious racist thoughts before he can fall to sexism first.
Next time on Balls.
Oh, this is terrible! Who would want me to English anyway?